Welcome back to the Dad and Buried podcast. This week we're talking about traveling with kids. As always, before we do, we want to give a shout out to our loyal listeners and our Patreon patrons, like our new one, Chris Coleman,
Chris,
the Dad Bod tier,
Dad
along
bod.
with Dava Tuttle, Phil Mansfield.
Phil.
A little extra juice for Barbara Geiger and Joseph Diachason. God, I hope I got that right,
yes,
Joe. The sergeant.
The absolute.
So can we just start calling him Sergeant Joe?
That would be.
He's a sergeant.
Okay.
And our hugest patron, Cole Wedemeyer,
Wiedemeyer.
Yes. I'm guessing on that one.
My new dad. Yeah,
Your new dad.
That's
wow,
what I'm calling
you
him.
guys have worked it out. So as always, you can subscribe to us on Patreon and Anchor.
Yep.
Hopefully we can get rid of some of these ads that maybe we're getting an extra ad this week from our Anchor because we love them so much.
Ideally,
and they love us.
Ideally, what we'd like to do is be able to do this not
full time.
Full time, but also not dependent on ads.
This is literally my only source of income right now, and that's really.
Yeah, you were eating
in
a
the
bag
least
of peanuts
desperate term
in the hallway,
possible.
And then I think I slapped it out of your hand.
So please become a supporter if you like what we're doing here,
Yeah.
or if you like what I'm doing, which is frankly a lot more likely.
Sure.
And we'd love eventually to have some guests, but we'll need another mic for that. So.
Ooh, that's some serious cash.
It is some serious cash.
Yeah.
So also, as always, you can check us out on any and all podcast listening platforms: iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, all those joints. You can watch us on YouTube if you want to see what we're wearing. I'm wearing a nice vintage The Band t-shirt that I got in Woodstock near Big Pink, where they recorded Big Pink.
What has it been washed since Woodstock, or is it no?
Does it smell, or are you just being a jerk?
No, it just looks like it's.
It looks fucking great.
Okay, got it.
Nate liked it. He was like, "What band?" I'm like, "The Band." He was like, "Huh?" I was like, "Come on, man. You ever heard of The Who?" Or another one.
That is not what happened.
Anyway, watch us, listen to us, do it all. Pay us, please. We're
but
desperate.
by the way, also we want the conversation. We're trying to figure
feedback
out
drives this show. And we get a lot of great comments from everybody.
We're trying to figure out the cadence. YouTube, we think, at least our thought is that if we post the episode there, not only can you watch it, but or listen to it. Like
check out my wardrobe.
You can check out the wardrobe, but you can also comment like last week's episode.
Oh no!
Where that last week's episode was stay at home versus working parents.
Yeah. Who has it easier?
Who
you
has
framed it,
it,
which in
yeah.
reality it should be who has it worse or who has it harder.
Yeah. Well, that's part of the joy.
That'll be a
of that
separate
title,
episode where we discuss.
The point is
Pete's
nobody
titling and
give me a break. No, everybody loves it. But I want to call out MS Babayan, who Babayan. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
She commented on that and said that my comment on how work is psychological warfare is spot on. So she must work in a toxic work environment as well.
You know what? Maybe she works for you. Maybe you slipped her, a sawbuck.
I actually don't even know what that expression
I think
means.
it's $10. It's an ancient way of talking about a $10 bill. Not ancient, but
cool.
Hard boiled.
Good reference.
Like you're a real gold breaker.
Okay.
Anyway, I now know MS Babayan is a loyal listener and commenter on my Instagram, and now I know that she's actually on Team Pete.
Yes.
And
thank you.
frankly, I'm heartbroken.
Keep it up, you and me, MS. Well, I'm just gonna call you MS.
We'll get back into this rivalry that we've got developing, just based on we even travel differently, as we're going to talk about in a few minutes when we get back.
We're talking about traveling with kids.
Right after this. Okay, thanks for joining us this week. We actually haven't seen each other in a little while because it was here in New York. It was spring break for our kids, no school, and we both went our separate ways as we prefer to do, and we do literally every day. Yeah, right. We see each other as little as possible.
Yeah, I mean, I'm outside your apartment a lot, but you don't see me.
That's
so
true. I don't. Yeah. I don't. Yeah. So this week I drove down to South Carolina to visit family. Mm-hmm. When I arrived today, Nate said, "How was your vacation?" And I said,
"What vacation?"
It was not a vacation. As my listeners, as my friends, I'm going to call them, on Instagram, constantly say, every single time I post something about a meme or a blog post about traveling with kids or taking a vacation with kids, at least 3 people in the comments say, when you go with kids, it's not vacation, it's a trip. Which is true, but you can stop saying it, guys. We get it. But it is 100% true.
We're all in the shit together.
You're just dealing with your kids' bullshit in a different place. Right. It doesn't matter if it's a beach or Disney World.
Instead of doing it in your living room, you're doing it in a beach in front of a bunch of people.
Or at a hotel room. You're not relaxing. Although Mama Barrett and I got a little, we'll get into that a little later.
Okay, good. Let's
I'm having trouble speaking. You got a little excited.
You smell burnt toast again?
Look, we slept in separate beds. It was fucking amazing. Okay. Chef's kiss.
Oh my God.
Amazing. You love when I do the chef's kiss. It's like my trademark now.
It's the worst trademark.
I agree, actually. Okay. I hate it, and I hate that I just did it.
Well, you and I are in agreement finally.
So you flew.
Yeah, I flew.
Right. So we're gonna get into flying first, which really, and I don't want to step on whatever ridiculous hyperbole Pete is about to use, calling flying with kids the final frontier or the ultimate battle test or whatever.
I'm writing all of these down. That's so good.
Flying with kids sucks. The anticipation of flying is often worse than actually flying, although we're going to find out from Pete. You took 3 kids down to Florida.
Yep.
Not a long, 3-hour flight?
Well, let's back up, Mike.
Okay, jeez. Here we go, guys.
First of all, let's go to Florida, right? Okay, good. We live in New York. That
right
sounds
now?
No, that sounds like... I'm just saying, that's the idea that comes into your head when you're thinking about spring break. You're like, let's go somewhere warm.
Yes.
So, Florida. The next thing you think about is, well... I hate having money, as you know.
Yeah, that's true.
And the one thing I love to do is to give all my money to the airlines.
Yes. Well, don't we all?
That's my favorite thing to do.
They do so much for us.
And honestly, I check all my bags because I need to make sure that I'm at maximum expenditure.
Right. So you're saying you pay to check each
in
bag,
fact, I choose my airline. I'm like, $40 too low.
Yep.
I need my first bag to be
more.
at least 50. That's why
it's like in Good Will Hunting when his dad lays out a belt or a wrench and says choose, and he goes, wrench. Why? Because fuck him.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what you're doing to yourself.
That's basically what I do. I do that. That's why we fly United.
Our next sponsor.
Yeah. So so that's the first wonderful, wonderful part about traveling. So you haven't even it's months away
in advance,
and already
you're stressed and angry.
You've been kicked in the nuts financially by this wonderful burden that you've had to now figure out financially for the rest of the year how to pay back.
Yeah, how you balance that out. Yep.
So there's that.
Then you have to get to the airport 6 or 7 hours early.
At least, you're pretty much there 2 days in advance, awaiting.
Waiting the 5 or 6 delays.
Yeah. It's so funny. I'll tell you, my friend who travels a lot was saying, "Well, we'll just show up like 45 minutes." I mean, he's like travels all the time, and I was like, "I have 5 of us, and we barely skate by the skin of our teeth at 2 hours ahead of time."
Yeah, at an airport, and I can't get anywhere.
No, I mean it's
getting out of the house just to go to the neighbors is an ordeal.
Exactly. So anyway, you've spent all of this cash. Well, and then of course there's that wonderful pivot point at which you have a baby, and you're like, well, my baby could probably fit on my lap.
Yeah.
And so there's that wonderful hazy period, that honeymoon period, where you're like, you know what? It hasn't changed too much. It's not too bad. The little ones they're small
until they're 2.
Oh, until they're 2, and then you're like, you listen. Now you cost an extra $500.
There's not even child-priced seats. It's just full-on, full-price seats.
Yeah. In fact, they probably should charge double for child-priced seats because they know.
There are some people that I think something came out a few years ago where they wanted to charge more for kids or something, and all the child-free people, as they call themselves, rejoiced because there's nothing somebody who doesn't have a kid with them, not even somebody who doesn't have kids, because I have kids.
Right.
But even I hate it when I see a family get on the plane.
Yeah.
But as we're going to get into, it is always worse for that family. Starting with the packing and the getting to the airport and going through security with all that junk.
All right. Well, we're not quite there yet. So where we are is we are at we're about to go to the airport. No, so we're in the packing phase. We're in the packing phase.
Okay.
Now, what's happening in the packing phase? Well, there's a wonderful dynamic that's happening at the home. So
this can happen for road trips as well, the packing portion.
Right, which is this unbelievably high elevation. So things might be tense, but when you go to pack, you're at sort of DEFCON. I can't remember if it's 5 or 1.
I never remember.
Whichever,
I think 1 is worse, but people
DEFCON,
think 5
you're at
is
DEFCON
worse.
1, and you are at the highest terror alert is what you're at.
Yeah, orange.
And I think it's red.
But
I think we're always on orange, basically.
Yeah, we are. Thanks, George W.
But basically, there's why didn't you help me pack? Oh, let me put this shirt on. Why are you packing that shirt?
So
because I want to bring
this
shirt.
interaction between you and your kids?
Yeah, no, my wife, of
okay,
course, who's
I have a question about the
orchestrating all
packing. Yes, your wife is orchestrating all the packing,
yeah.
right? My wife is packing everything, and then she tells me to pack, and I say, it takes me 5 minutes to pack, and I throw my shit in the end. Then I get there, and we get there, and she hasn't packed my goddamn toothbrush. There's nothing better than getting mad at your wife for not packing your shit when she was begging you to pack the whole week, and you're like, oh, it'll take me 2 seconds. I inevitably forget like 5 things, and then we have an argument about why you're the packer.
Oh,
you were supposed to pack.
We call that the time bomb argument.
Oh yeah,
where that lovely argument explodes post.
The thing is, it happened like that incident. Not even the arguing. That incident happened so much that I can bring it as a joke, and it doesn't matter. Yeah. Like to her,
it's still
that is deadly serious. Yeah. So I'll make it a joke, and I won't even care, and I'll be joking about the fact I know it was my fault. I didn't pack my fucking T-shirt that I wanted to bring or whatever, or my glasses. I'm sorry. I'm making a joke about how I'm an idiot, but no, all she hears is, I fucking told you to pack 20 times. Why did you do it?
Exactly.
It's fun. It's fun.
I get held in this sort of zone of you're not helping enough, and the second I touch something,
you're doing it wrong.
Don't touch that. Yeah. You're gonna mess it up.
Well, that's called marriage.
Yeah. So that's it. So there's that wonderful zone, of course. So that lasts what? Let's call it 48 hours.
Yeah.
Of this wonderful sort of angst-ridden...
The pre-travel.
Exactly. Pre-travel angst. Stress.
And it could be, and it often is, like going somewhere amazing. Like we went on a cruise, or we went to Europe, and like my wife's favorite thing in the world to do is travel. Or same as when she's like organizing anything, like a party she's having. She can't wait for it, but the stress level of the prep for her is like the guns of the Navarone.
And everybody needs to know it.
It needs to be felt. The husband certainly needs to know it.
It needs to be felt by everybody. So there's that. Okay, so now
Mentini80 says that there, just the amount you have to pack.
Oh my God, the amount that we packed for Florida for 10 days is basically the same amount that we packed for a weekend.
I was gonna say, You go 10 days, you start to recycle, but just the bare minimum you have to bring for even a 2 to 3 day trip is so much stuff, especially if you have a toddler or a baby.
Yes. Then you're talking diapers and this and the bottle.
You're talking a stroller at a certain level. You're talking a stroller and a car seat, and you're bringing those on a plane.
You are a small, like mobile infantry unit of just gear and stuff and liquids and all sorts of stuff.
Getting to the airport and having security and just already being nervous about like missing the flight.
Right.
And then you're going through and you have kids and you have so much stuff to bring. You got to fold up the stroller. You have to check stuff. So somebody here said that they made the mistake when they were going to Disney World with their kids, where they accidentally checked everything in. Including their son's blanket. Jay Van Deen, RN, I may be registered nurse, checked her son's blanket instead of carrying it on, and he just cried the entire flight.
Yep. There's no coming back. There's no coming back from
once that. You know you have to check something in, like you said, you just start to throw everything in, and you bring the bare minimum, and then something goes wrong, like your kid throws up on you. I had a bunch of people talk about how their kid threw up, and you change of clothes for the kid, but if the kid pukes on your pants...
Yeah.
So somebody said here that the kid puked in their pants. They didn't have a change, and she just smelled like rotten milk.
Yeah,
like the entire flight. What can you do? Because you can't just bring 8 changes of clothes in every bag you have.
What you do is you put your feelings in a little box, and then you go inside that black box. And
that was Shaderlin, whose kid threw up on her and said she's constantly. People were constantly complaining about the smell. Yeah, I bet they were.
So now you're at the airport. You're past the angst stage. You're there now. Now it's game time. So you've got the bags. Now you've obviously have talked about how many bags. You've definitely gotten into an argument about how many bags we're bringing.
Definitely. How many shoes is she bringing?
Yeah.
How about that?
And of course, but she has a right to feel like she can bring as many shoes as she wants because that's
her choice.
Yeah, of course. It doesn't matter that the bag is going to be over the limit. It doesn't, Mike. Or that we should bring another bag, because we should bring it, okay? And so your T-shirt weighs a lot too. So
well, that's true. Yeah. It's at least 3 pairs of shoes.
So you're then the best is the loadout. Is the loadout to either from the taxi cab to the check-in place.
All of this is giving me anxiety.
You're the dad strapped down to the hilt. The kids, let's say your kids are like 11. Hey, can you grab that bag?
No.
Nah, not into it.
My son can't grab anything just to walk from the car to our front door.
And the problem that I'm campaigning against is it's illegal to murder your kids in the airport.
Are you sure?
I'm
only
pretty sure.
in the airport or like outside on the sidewalk.
I've been advocating for full murder to happen.
The purge in the airport at all times.
Any parent should have the right to murder their child if they give attitude while the dad is heavily laden with bags
and they're not carrying
a thing. I'm not going to carry that hat.
Oh my God, no, they can't. Okay, their hands hurt.
So you're waddling.
They'll carry their fucking tablets.
The things are cutting into your hands. You're waddling up to the check-in place. You check in. Okay. Now goes. Did we forget the tickets, or do you have all the tickets? What about that ticket? I don't know about the ticket.
You get panic.
You're just
a lot of different moments of panic.
You're panicked. You check in your bags. Security line.
The worst.
The next.
So people don't like the idea of putting leashes on children, and neither do I. There's a Simpsons episode where the guy, Danny DeVito, Homer's half-brother, makes a baby translator machine. And at one point, they're like in an airport or something, and you see a little kid, and his parents have a leash on him, and the kid cries. And then the translator says, "This leash is demeaning to us both." I've always loved that. After being at the airport in the security line with my toddler, I wanted several leashes to hold that kid down. He's ducking under ropes, running through.
Oh, ducking under? How about plink, like taking off?
Oh my God, 100%.
Zip.
Have you seen the film Love Actually? I know Nate has. It's one of Nate's favorites. Okay. He talks about it all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
At the end, the little kid runs through. This is post 9/11. Yeah. He's running through the airport, and it's like the funny hijinks of a toddler. The dude would be gunned down, right? The minute he breached security.
By his dad.
Exactly. His dad. Well, his dad was Liam Neeson in the film.
If the legislation that I'm trying to push is happening.
Well within his rights.
And there he goes. One less passenger. Give me my refund.
In Florida... Yeah. They probably do have that
Florida
law,
man,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm just saying, I'm all for leashes to keep like a hyper antic, out of control toddler or 5-year-old from starting an international incident.
So now you're about to go through check-in. Or I mean, not check-in, but the security. You have with you an untold number of just bags.
Yes.
So of course you've brought bags for your kids. For as many kids as you have, you've basically
they all get
brought
carry-ons
a carry-on bag, which the dad and the mom will carry the baby or whatever, or either vice versa, whichever is least annoying to the mom. The dad will obviously take.
You need to keep the mom placated.
Yeah, of course.
She's done a lot to get us to this point.
She's packed.
She's very organized.
Yes, and also at the same time, very, very disappointed in me.
I mean, that's always for me.
Yeah.
I'm a disappointment.
There's no one who can be more disappointing to anybody than me to my family.
Well, obviously.
Yeah. So anyway, we're there. Now you have to go through shoes off, like bags.
Not everywhere
stroller.
Nowadays. Some days you don't have to take your shoes
off. Kids can keep their shoes on. As my 8-year-old was doing, just kind of exploring. Just right at the security gate. At the security gate.
Big deal.
Again, at which point I go back to my earlier statement of this legislation. Just like I need a way to be able to reach out and just
shoot
and
her.
just be able to grab her. And even though you've said, "Hey, can you please wait here? It'll be 5 seconds." Like, don't just stay here.
Why would you do that?
And then security's, you can't go there. And then
Does that really happen where securities had to bark at your children?
Yeah, the TSA, sure. They're like, no, don't let her do that. Don't let her do that.
Don't let her. That's even worse.
I'm like,
you're a disappointment to him too.
Give me your gun. God,
look at this guy's fucking parenting.
I know.
Don't let her do that, Einstein.
How about this? So then, all right, we're at the airport, and I swear don't fill their waters. But they need water. Please, please, please don't fill their waters. They can have water. They don't need water all the time. They can be thirsty. If they're thirsty for an hour, good. Maybe they'll appreciate water more. No, so then
it's when you get to like 3 days that the lack of water becomes a problem.
We get to the airport right then. All of their water bottles were full, and it was for some reason they didn't have to pour it out.
Yeah.
You know what we had to do?
Throw them all out.
Wait, guess who had to drink all their water?
You don't have to.
No, you can't.
This is weird.
I'm telling you, there was it wasn't at the New York airport.
Okay, so you just chugged their.
Everyone's chugging water. There's 5 people in the airport chugging water, like just holding up the TSA line.
I already know the answer to this question, but are you a fan of water? Are you a big water drinker?
I don't mind. I like seltzer. I can't stand.
Oh my God,
that
was
water.
Even worse than the other answer I was anticipating.
water's the worst. Seltzer gives it a little bit.
I
of
agree with
something.
you. Water is the worst. Every once in a while, water is fucking better
Yeah,
than
it's the
anything
best,
else.
yeah.
Very rarely. But it's what's funny about what you're talking about right now is almost everything you've said. Just like those people that say it's not a vacation, it's a trip, or it's just
Yeah.
your kids being pains in the asses in different scenery.
Yeah.
All of this shit is just the way kids are at all times, no matter where you are.
Yeah.
But in an airport, it is so heightened. Because
so
you are tense. There's so much to keep track of. There's security guards around. You're trying not to be late for a really expensive thing that you paid for.
You have obviously lost the tickets 8 times before you've even gotten to security,
right. Or thought you had.
Yeah,
at the very
of course.
least.
And then you're
as long as you have all 3 kids, though. Although
yes,
maybe
of course.
losing one make them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And of course, you know, the different age it really plays a big factor. So traveling with an 11-year-old is actually pretty straightforward compared to traveling with like a 3 and under.
Oh yeah.
And that 3 and under kind of, I mean, if you have like a 6-month-old, that's probably pretty straightforward. It's pretty easy. But once they start,
but here's the flip side to that, right? So look, you have a 6-month-old, and a baby's a baby. Baby's gonna baby, right? It's just, if the kid sleeps, you're lucky. If the kid cries,
that's like your catchphrase.
Baby's gonna baby.
You always say that. Yeah.
So the problem is that you would hope that people would understand that you're on a plane. Guess what? Parents get to fucking travel with their children.
Yeah.
Right? Children can travel places, whether to see grandma or Disney World, or just go with their parents somewhere.
Yep.
You know, everyone gets so mad when a kid comes on. Obviously, there's inconveniences to it, but you gotta. If it's a baby, you can't be too mad at a baby for crying, right?
I can.
A toddler, you can start getting mad. Like a 5-year-old, then you're like, what are these parents doing? An 11-year-old, you yourself are going to be so angry at your 11-year-old if they can't behave.
But
the standards change.
Yeah, but the 11-year-old is fine.
Yes.
We're past that point.
Right,
so
I'm just saying the more agency the kid has, the more responsibility they and you have.
Yes.
Where other passengers are going to be judging you and angry at you the whole time anyway.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's understandable.
But really, the real sweet spot for that danger zone, that horrible nightmare zone, is 18 to 24 months, or even
36.
36 months. Just that's where you're in trouble, son.
Well, you get toddler antics and tantrums, and
can't speak,
also baby crying
can't
at the same
speak,
time. Yeah,
just making sounds.
They don't know what's happening when their ears pop.
They don't know.
You got to give them a bottle.
You got to give them a bottle
to suck on.
Yeah, or you explain to them
the ear
really
popping.
Clearly what's
going to happen.
on.
The change in air pressure.
By the way, what I found is if you mansplain it to the babies.
Well, I can't help but mansplain. That's all I did. That's what I'm good at.
They love it. Yeah.
So look, okay. So I got a couple user comments here. We talked about getting through security. We talked about the lap seat, right? So parabolic motion was on a flight apparently where the baby or the kid was young enough to sit on his lap the entire time.
Yep.
Where the plus there is you didn't have to pay for the ticket.
Exactly.
The negative is your thighs are going numb. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
And while the child napped the whole time, she then peed through her diaper all over parabolic motion. And at the end he just said, still good.
Yeah,
but she napped the whole time. Like
exactly.
the only discomfort that was caused was his discomfort.
Yes.
Which is best
fine.
case scenario.
And again, this goes back to anyone, and this is really key. The parents bringing that kid on feel
so
10
much
times worse than any parent. So there's a story. A friend of mine we were on a group text, and this guy who was not married and didn't have a kid at the time text a bunch of us who did, and said, "Oh, great! Just got on my flight to Florida. It was like 3 hours. It was like some lame amount of easy flight." And there's a kid 3 rows away. Great. Text this to the group. Yeah. I said, I wrote back, I go, here's what you do. Put your headphones on, close your eyes, turn up the volume, and just sit back and relax and just be so happy that kid's not yours. Responsibility.
Next to you.
That guy got absolutely destroyed. He's still in intensive care from that particular burn.
Next to the kids that you're allowed to shoot in airports.
Yeah.
So it's funny. So a bunch of people said the same thing. Katie Ferry 1279 said that she was flying from Madrid to JFK. Her toddler cried the whole flight, and the stress of knowing that everyone hates you and the dirty looks you're getting. She said it made her cry, made the mom herself cried. Heather Rush known as Rush Heather, apparently, says the other passengers have been so rude just because she's with kids. Which again, you walk in, you get the dirty looks. I was on a flight from Spain to New York, and I knew, like, I have my toddler with me, and I'm like, whoever it's a 3-row seat, right? This guy comes down. I'm like, I'm already prepared. I'm like, look, what seat do you want? I'm like, do you want to be on the end? That and that way, like, you're in the aisle, but we'll have to go by you to like do shit, or do you want to be on the inside so you have a little bit? I can sit in the middle and have distance. I'm doing all this stuff. Guy barely speaks. He's giving me and my kid dirty looks the entire time. Like, I'm trying to accommodate him, even though we paid the same amount for our tickets, Broheim. Yeah, you don't gotta be a jerk about it.
Exactly.
Brian Gill, 21, flew to L.A. with a 2.5-year-old, and some a-hole yelled at them because the baby cried a few times, or the toddler cried a few times. This is what. Like, you're always so nervous that your kid is going to ruin the flight for somebody else, and that you're going to get judged for it.
Exactly.
It's so stressful.
And the problem is that you don't know what's going on. Apparently, when I was a baby, my parents were flew.
You remember?
Yeah.
Wow.
No, they told me the story that my eardrum burst. So, you have a kid whose eardrum burst on the airplane.
Guess what? Sit there and take it like a man.
Well, I did like what I do now, which is I cried and cried, just uncontrollably.
And everyone hated you.
And everyone, continued to hate me. But that's really the issue, is that, these people are feeling so stressed out about on both sides. So the people who, and this is really, you can tell the people that have had kids or have gone through it, because there are some empathetic people out there who are like, oh, it's okay, or they'll play with the kid or whatever.
Yeah, you're so lucky if somebody plays
you have
with
a
kid,
cute little like scene on the plane where the kid's like kind of making eyes with all the other passengers, and
or sometimes you get lucky, there'll be like a 10-year-old girl who wants to or like a 13-year-old girl who wants to borderline babysit your 2-year-old or whatever, that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's great. That's nice. But like, your kids can even internalize your stress, and they know when you're stressed, and they reflect that sometimes. So there was a trend going around a few years ago where a couple of parents were going onto planes beforehand and putting little goodie bags on everybody's seats, basically saying like, oh, it's my 3-year-old twin's first time flying, cut us some slack, here's some candy, and like a drink ticket. Yeah. And you know what? Very nice people, great. Fuck that noise. We are allowed to fly. I don't got to apologize in advance in case my kid acts like a kid. Right. Just be a human being. Yeah. I told you, I made a fake goodie bag. I did a blog post where I created a fake goodie bag, and I just put like fake drink tickets or some ecstasy.
A parking ticket.
I put a note that you can meet me at Hudson News after the flight if you really want to talk this out. Just like, I don't understand that impulse to be like, everyone's gonna hate you. You paid full price for the ticket, right? Yeah. It sucks. Nobody likes it. Nobody likes flying in general these days.
But you're right.
Parents have it the worst of all.
Parents have it the worst of all, and being a dick about it for all those. If there's any non-parents, being a dick about people who have kids on a flight, is
dickish.
The worst. You're the worst.
You are the worst, and it just makes everything bad for everybody. Yeah. So like, a lot of people wrote in about getting dirty looks and just the judgment, and then other people talking about I'm imagining you didn't have, when you were on the plane, you didn't have none of your kids are in diapers anymore. No. So you didn't have any diaper blowouts. I had to change a diaper blowout in one of those crappy cramped bathrooms, really hard. S-Crown had the same thing. Explosive baby poop during takeoff. Epic meltdown on the shitty plane toilet changing table.
Oh, well, I had one that was slightly new to me, which was I had to take my 4-year-old who had to go number 2 to poop, and
on the plane,
and it was like horrifying. Yeah, think train spotting bathroom. Oh God. And then just telling your son everything's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. You're good. He's like, Dad, why do you keep saying that? Everything's fine.
And meanwhile, you're changing clothes as you got stuff all over your clothes, but you don't have a lot of changes.
No, I'm going like train spot. I'm going.
You're just diving in.
Yeah. Okay. To simulate heroin experience. But the key thing that we're missing, which is a positive here, which you haven't talked about.
Oh my God, a positive. We don't really get into positives on this podcast. I don't know if you got the
Thank God for screens.
Oh my God.
Hours. You want to watch whatever you want to watch. You want to watch Saw 5?
You want to watch Basic Instinct? Here you go.
No problem. Here, I'll fast forward to the good parts.
I always use Basic Instinct as my example, even though that movie's like 30 years old. Yeah. Like, I don't have a racy modern day equivalent.
I know, because that's
Antichrist by Lars von Trier. That's disturbing, right? You can watch that. I don't care. Guess what? You're 5. if you keep your mouth shut, you can watch whatever you want.
You want more candy? You want anything?
Anything you want.
Cookies,
right?
Have it all.
All of it. So I read a list once, like tips you can do with your kids on plane. Like somebody even said here, and I'm not gonna bash her, although obviously I'm gonna bash her a little bit. She said she brings I can't find it on here. She brings a bag of like toys and coloring books and snacks. I'm like, yeah, sure, snacks and books.
Goodie bags,
But if you don't bring tablets,
no,
you're a bad passenger, right? You're like, it is not the time. The airplane, you're in an enclosed tin can with a bunch of people that hate you already, is not the time to experiment with discipline and teaching your kids how to not have screen time.
No,
they sacrifice those 3 to 5 hours.
Yes,
give it up
and make
your life easier, make them happier, make everybody happier.
Yeah. Yep.
And that goes for road trips too.
But now again, and just there is that sweet. This is why that 18 to 36 month old. There is a period of time where you're flying with a big ass baby who doesn't know about screens,
and has no attention span. Yeah, it's not interested in watching like cars.
And
or
all they want to do is take their sharp fingernails and like put them all over your face.
Or even worse, kick the seat in front of you.
Oh yeah.
That's a nightmare.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is flying with
children. Nothing like that. Your kids are a little bit older. You didn't have any incidents on your
No,
flight.
so for me it's getting better. So I have a 11, 8, and 4.5-year-old, and to be honest with you, outside of a little kicking of the seat by the 4-year-old, he just
the general expense of having 3 children to buy plane tickets for, which is outrageous.
Well, it's a total of 5 people. It's unbelievably
anyway, so that
ridiculous.
My man, is why we often drive, even though we had. With no traffic, I think it was 11 hours on the way down. We hit a lot of traffic. We drove to South Carolina. You always hit traffic, like the Washington, D.C., Baltimore corridor. There's almost no avoiding it. But we hit it all over the place. So it ended up taking 14 hours. A lot of screen time for the kiddos. To the point where they're like, can we do something else? They get too much of it.
Right.
You try to stop. Maybe you stop at like a play place. Like if there's like a McDonald's play place or something where they can just get their jollies out for like 10 minutes while you like eat some junk food. Although, as we discussed once before, you don't eat snacks when you go on road trips.
I don't eat snacks, but I'll stop and eat food.
Well, what kind of food? Filet of fish?
Yeah, no. Oh.
What's your go-to at McDonald's?
Big Mac. Come on, get out of here.
Look at that.
Yeah, boy.
Yes, you put the fries in the middle.
Oh,
that's what it's all about. So we did that twice. Obviously, we had to drive down, and we had to drive back.
What time did you leave?
So we left at about 6 a.m. or 6:30 on the way back, and 7 a.m. on the way there. Which, on the way back was on Saturday, so like we had never really done that before. It turned out the traffic was pretty great. It was the Easter weekend, or the week after, and I don't think a lot of people were traveling on that Saturday. The week before, they probably got their travel out. The way down, like I said, in the past we've tried to do like leave at 3, just get ahead of the New York rush hour, and then miss some stuff, and hope the kid falls asleep at like 7 or 8, like they normally would. Guess what?
Nah, it doesn't happen.
They're not falling asleep. They didn't go to bed at like 11 or 12.
No, of course.
And then the worst thing that happens is every parent knows the kid falls asleep 5 minutes before you reach your destination, gets 3 minutes of sleep, and then is wired and awake.
And then either turns into like a sobbing mess or...
Oh my God. Or just an uncontrollable Tasmanian devil type. So my philosophy on road trips is screens all the time, snacks all the time, anything you want just to keep your mouth shut. This frustrates. This doesn't. The philosophy behind it, Mom and Buried is good with. The fact that as I do all the driving and she has to be the concierge essentially, she's not so good with. So like I'll be driving in, the toddler will want something extra to eat that he can't get, or he wants something else, and she, who is trying to nap, because make no mistake about it, she's not a good navigator. She's not good shotgun. She sleeps 70% of the trip. And then the kid's waking her up because he's behind me, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I'm not pulling over. Guess what? Dads don't pull over. Dads go from A to B as quickly as possible. You stop for gas and to go to the bathroom.
Don't forget cursing at every possible opportunity.
Every possible opportunity. Today.
Look at this guy.
Just today. Not even on a road trip. I was trying to make a turn, and somebody didn't let me go. And I was like, come on. How can you not let me go? And I yelled, and my son was like, oh, you don't do that. And I'm like, people just aren't courteous. And he's like, well, you weren't being courteous. So they made you not be courteous.
So then you turned your son.
I said it's a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
They're not nice to me. I'm not nice to them. 2 wrongs don't make a right.
Told more to go. So that's so funny. The designated my wife does not nap, but the good news is that she's awake enough to let me know how annoying it is that she has to be the person to hand out snacks.
Yeah, no, my wife does that
because
a little bit,
all of the turning around is really tough on the back, and just constantly having to just manage them when she's really busy being on her phone. And not, let's just say navigating or helping. Hey, could you tell me how long this traffic exists for?
Oh no! So you don't have your own phone mounted like
I
GPS?
have my phone, but I don't like to mess around with it.
Yeah, we're being recorded. You don't want to admit that you.
Yeah, I don't want to mess around with it.
I listen to music and podcasts, but I make sure the volume's not on in the back seat because I listen to some risque stuff.
Yeah.
Some blue material.
The Dad and Barry
podcast, and I do some. Again, I'm trying to figure out where the flaws are. They're sitting right across from me.
Okay. Well.
So you don't do the road trip thing ever? It's always flying?
No, I definitely. So we go to Maine, and we'll drive to Maine because flying is a nightmare.
Your kids get car sick?
Thankfully, they do not, and that is actually a big one that I have to be thankful for because I do know that kids get car sick.
My 8-year-old won't,
and it's debilitating.
To his credit, my 8-year-old won't eat. In the car anymore because he gets sick sometimes. Yeah. And one time we weren't even gone.
So no more Takis?
We were going on a road trip. We were on the FDR. We weren't even out of the city, and he starts puking.
Oh my God.
And the thing with him is he has a tree nut allergy. So your first thought is, oh my God, is this a result of some kind of life-threatening thing? Because I can't get off the road. I'm stuck in traffic. And somebody else mentioned that where sometimes you get stuck in this traffic and there's nothing you can do.
Right.
You can't pull over. And the same thing goes for if this is the double-edged sword of potty training. Kids in diapers are easier on road trips because then you only have to worry about when you have to go to the bathroom. I have been stuck in the car so many times where my son will have just gone to a rest stop and we've made everyone go to the bathroom, or maybe I don't think I'll ever let him get away with saying I don't have to go to the bathroom when we're at a rest stop. But we'll be back in the car 20 minutes later. He'll be like, I have to go to the bathroom, and he's there's nothing I can do for you, man.
Right.
You need to hold this, and kids aren't as good at knowing how to do that. And I'm not going to give him a Gatorade bottle, although somebody here said pack a Thunder Jug. I don't know what that is. I can guess that it's somewhere for kids to be prepared with a Thunder Jug to avoid stops, Jenny Doss said. I don't know what
it's got that lightning bolt on the side.
Maybe that's why. Maybe it's something like a vomit bowl. You like. Do you have a Thunder Jug?
No,
in
but
your
I'm
car?
Gonna add it.
But there are portable potty seats that you can bring if you do pull over on the side of the road or something like that.
Yeah.
But this is why.
But no one's pulling over the road. I mean, I guess if you. Really
I would prefer to wear a diaper when I drive, just so I could just power through.
Yeah.
Not have to stop. But having to change a diaper on the side of the road, or
there was
the panic when your kid has to go and your kid is panicking and it's making you panic and you're like, I don't know, there's no exit. What do I do? I hate that.
Yeah.
And that happens every once in a while. It didn't happen this time, thankfully. We managed that correctly, but that is really nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
No, we do. So yeah, we've driven the 11 hours that it takes to go to northern Maine, and that's the only way to go because it's you go up and you just kind of. What the trick is that we found, and we've only done it a couple times, but the trick is if we leave really early in the morning, meaning we leave at
4.
3. Yeah. So the kids, again, didn't quite work out, but kind of worked out. They were not asleep.
Right.
But they were so tired or so dopey
just sitting there,
that they were kind of just dazed for at least an hour and a half of the trip.
Are they all 3 lined up all next to each other? Because someone here said, Ollie Bilchek said he got a car with a 3rd row, or she, I think it was a he since it's Bill, and that was a game changer because the kids have their own zone.
Yeah.
There's a buffer. But then how are you getting them food and snack and
just
stuff?
Pass it back. Just chain gang
Toss it back.
No, chain gang it. Hey, you pass it to that person.
But if they're in the 3rd row, there's nobody in the middle row, I think is a suggestion there.
No, there is. There's so that you don't have to have people.
Well, it depends on how many kids you have, I guess.
Exactly.
Well, sometimes they like to sit next to each other. You can play War with cards. You ever play War?
With cards?
Yeah,
back in 1822.
Okay, buddy. You know what? It's hurtful. I'm sorry. Back in the 80s, we had some low-tech solutions to boredom on the road.
I was watching TV on my watch.
I was counting or trying to find all 50 states on the license plates.
Yeah.
I used to do that. If I tried to do it with my kid right now, that's the downside to the screen. He'd be like, "What the F, old man?"
We played Spot the Serial Killer.
And they just pointed up at you every time.
Yeah, I won every time. pointed at my dad.
You do seem a little bit like a serial killer type.
Cool.
You're like deceptively mild-mannered.
Deceptively.
Well-groomed. Your neighbors would be like, I never suspected a thing.
He was so well-groomed.
Guess who did suspect, folks? This guy right here.
Yeah. Mike, you're talking to yourself.
We're talking about road trips. So again, pee breaks. What else we got here? We got car sickness, which has happened a couple of times. My son.
Oh God, the car sickness. That's the worst. And the good. I mean,
and it smells.
The smell.
You got to get it out of there. You got to get everything that he was wearing and that he got covered on out of there. So listen to this story. C.R. Wilkinson says to me, he will never forget the time he pulled into a rest stop and saw a car covered in vomit. Just everything covered in vomit. And they see the mom crying in the back seat. She's also covered in vomit. The kid was feeling nauseous, so they moved him to the front seat so he could throw up out the window, which he did. But the back seat window was open, and it looped in on the mom. And C.R. Bullard said, C.R. Wilkinson, said that was the last time they were ever allowed to sit in the front seat, or that was the perfect reason for them to never be allowed to sit in the front seat. Nowadays that would never happen because there are like laws and regulations, unless you're in an airport where you can legally murder your kid, at least in Florida.
We're almost there.
That's the dream. And Kristen Hallett said here that no vomiting is a win. The key is low expectations, right? So no vomiting, just like the dude in the other one flying where the parabolic motion where the kid peed through the diaper on his legs. That sucks, but the kid napped the whole time, right? Which is low expectations. That's a win.
Yeah, I mean, there's also different. Like if the baby spit ups, if you have an infant and you're traveling with an infant, and they spit up, and you're like, do we change them or they're good? Like,
right, exactly. Until it starts to smell, it's not an issue. Just
that's when you just kind of lower their window and
run through. Well, S. Crown mentioned the residual vomit smell, which it's really tough to get out. And if you're on that happened in Virginia once for us, and we still had like 7 hours to go. And one of the first things I'm thinking about is like, I can't be driving on a highway with the windows shut, the air conditioner on, and the vomit smell lingering in the car. Yeah. You just got to get out and do whatever you can to get that, to scrub that out as quickly as possible so it doesn't stay. Yeah. Just an absolute nightmare. None of that happened this trip. Relatively uneventful. Yeah. A couple of screaming things where like the charger stopped working for one of the iPads.
Oof. That's a DEFCON.
That was tough.
DEFCON 1.
But my ideal solution is train travel, but you know why?
It's not your ideal solution.
It would be if it was like 40% cheaper.
If it was good.
Look, it eliminates the security line and all the hassle of the airport.
But then you have all those people you have to deal with.
Oh, it depends. You get like a train
car. It's like the worst of airlines.
You get like a train car in North by Northwest. No, I'd say it's different. I say it's less hassle. You don't have to get there as early.
Well, wait. Are you talking about like a scenic train ride?
Well, I'd never done that, but I bet it'd be lovely.
You're talking like a train, but
cross country train ride
between like New York and Boston and DC and that.
Well, like the Acela or something like that.
Or even
I used to do it from school to New Haven. I think it took like a 5-hour train.
Where you just get the regular.
Would it really take that long?
5-hour train, yeah, from Boston to New York. Yeah, it's around.
Not New York to Connecticut. Yeah, it wouldn't have taken that long.
No, it wouldn't take that long to Connecticut.
I did that a few times. Maybe it was when I visited Skidmore to visit our mutual friend.
Oh yes.
I took the train a couple of times.
But
it's
the
peaceful
train
if it's not packed, but it's too expensive.
Okay,
if it were 40% cheaper than an airplane ticket, I think more people would do it.
So let me just get this straight. Your perfect mode of transport would be a train if it was cheaper, wasn't packed, and was faster.
My perfect mode of transport would be a private jet.
Great.
Obviously. But there are a lot of things. So that's the traveling aspect and the getting there and stuff, right? So on my spring break, we went and stayed with family. Yeah. Which maybe we'll do an in-laws episode somewhere down the line. There's some ups and downs to that. One of the best trips we ever went on was we flew to Turks and Caicos when the Hammer was under 1. Yeah. And we...
Was this during the Wall Street movement when you were being chased out of your mansion?
Look, it was tropical vacation. We used some points, some miles, and we brought my sister-in-law. Okay. We got our ticket through points. We brought her, and she just stayed in our B&B or whatever it was. It wasn't a traditional hotel. And she was the nanny for our baby, essentially. She got to come with us. Yeah. She got to be the nanny. It didn't really cost anything. It was really makes it's the nanny lifestyle, having a nanny, really appealing to me. It really removes all the parenting from parenting.
Oh my God.
I love it.
It's really
what I want.
Yeah.
That's what I want. and to have someone like assistant, and that's why these people that like
you come
sometimes
home,
their grandparents
yeah.
will like hey, let's go on a family trip, and they'll pay for everything. Let's bring everybody to Disney World, and they end up entertaining the kids and stuff. It's the dream to be on vacation with your kids, but have a little respite.
Yeah,
which I mentioned to you earlier. Mama Barry and I, because we visited family in the middle of the trip, we were there for about 10 days. For 2 nights, we were able to go off to a B&B at a nearby city.
That's a lot of time.
And it was, we walked around.
That's
we went
amazing.
to breweries. It was Asheville, North Carolina. It's
Did
lovely.
you look at each other and go, you know what? I like you.
I remember you.
Yeah,
my
like,
wife literally said something like that to me.
Yeah.
Like, it's nice to, to become reacquainted. Not so.
And then you told her to be quiet because you're posting something?
No, I told her, excuse me, we're sleeping in separate bedrooms tonight because I need some sleep. And
separate
so do you.
bedrooms?
We did. Separate bedrooms.
What? Really?
The Airbnb we stayed at had one bed in each room. There were 2 bedrooms. Yep. She has MS. She has some trouble sleeping. I have a wife. I have some trouble sleeping. So we split up.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Best night of your life.
It was, well, top 3. But I mean, it's a luxury that you don't get. Yeah. Normally, if we had kids with us, one of them, even if we slept in separate rooms, we'd probably each have a kid in our bed, especially on vacation. Some strange house.
Well, that's like sleeping. I mean, anytime you go to a hotel with
kids,
you're
all jammed in.
It's the same thing. It's just like you're just bringing back like the tenement to like you have some kids sleeping in the tub.
But it's so exciting to the kids.
It is. It's exciting. It's exciting. You're excited through them for a period of time.
5 minutes.
And then it wears off.
Yes.
And then you're like, this is the word.
And then you're like waiting for them to fall asleep so you can like put on the hotel HBO. So this is what my
but it's so bright.
Here's what my wife and I do. Yeah. This is what we did last year. We went to Philadelphia just for a weekend on like winter break, and we all obviously got one room. What are we going to get? 2 rooms for an 8-year-old and a toddler? No. We got 1 room, 2 beds. We grab a 6-pack, and my wife has champagne because that's her drink of choice, and we sit in the hallway. We tell the kids to go to bed. We go sit in the hallway, and we drink out there for like 45 minutes, wait for the kids to fall asleep. Yeah. Then we go in there, and we like watch something on the computer or on TV as low level as possible. Yeah. No, you gotta get them to fall asleep. We're sitting in the hallway, and either you walk by your parent and you get it, or you walk by and you're not a parent, and you're like, look at these creepos. What are these lunatics doing?
What are these 2 people
Squatters.
doing? Yeah. These homeless people.
But there's all sorts of these little tricks you have to do to make traveling with kids bearable.
Can I? We'll talk about this later, but we went to Disney at one point and we stayed in a hotel.
God. You were calling me money bucks.
I'm sorry. You just like talked about bringing your nanny to Turks and Caicos.
It was a one-shot deal. Okay. You talked about going to Disney World.
All right,
Trump.
Well, whatever. Everybody goes to Disney World. Anyway, so let me just get to the point. The point is our hotel room had a curtain.
Those blackout in the middle, in between beds,
in between,
or like a suite section.
No,
like
so
an
like
office
there was a exactly between the suite section. So they knew that people were gonna have their kids. I mean, they fucking think of everything. They're the best.
Which hotel chain?
It was Disney.
Red Roof Inn?
No, it was like the Disney hotel, whatever one of the Disney
hotels. Right.
Hotels.
Well, Disney does think of everything.
I mean, literally everything.
Except for when the cloud of dust spells sex in Aladdin. They didn't think of that, did they?
That? Okay,
you know that? It's like an Easter egg, supposedly, in Aladdin.
Yeah.
When the magic carpet hits the thing, dust comes up and spells sex. That might be Little Mermaid. Doesn't matter. Subliminal messages in Disney films. Okay. Let's get into it.
It's really what's on the top of your mind, I see. But no, the curtain even closed around the TV, meaning the TV was part of the bedroom.
Oh, right.
The proper bed area.
So they walled that off.
And then the pull out and the other sleeper was separate, and it was the best. It was as you can tell, I can remember it clearly today, and I think it's the most amazing thing I've ever seen, and I don't know
only at a Disney hotel. You've never seen it anywhere else?
I've never seen it anywhere else.
I would like to see that, because all my wife would talk about is wanting to get separate bedrooms after our travel.
Yeah.
And that's between she and I, but having separate residences from us and the kids, we talk about getting divorced sometimes, co-parenting. Just the dream is just to not have kids around as much of the time.
Yeah. I mean, there's travel. You mentioned it before, but traveling internationally and the time change and all that stuff. I mean,
one thing I meant to ask you. So you've got the 3 kids. You do the road trip. Sometimes you do the plane. Do they fight?
Yeah.
Constantly?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yes.
You're in a confined space.
Yeah. Yeah.
We get a little bit of that too.
It's really, really bad.
I am Ada really Johnson bad. Said fighting. She mentioned as one of the cons to traveling is the fighting siblings, which... Lately, we've been getting a lot more of that between my 2 sons.
I need people to sign on to my petition for just like excusing parents from just fully murdering their children while traveling. And just, someone comes up, they're in, the streets of Paris. Monsieur, what happened? Oh, I see you're traveling with kids.
So
oh,
it should
okay,
be
never mind.
Excusing parents for everything.
Yeah, like global, just
acknowledge the stress level that these parents have when they're
parents
traveling with kids. Yeah, let them do anything they want, except not watch Aladdin because the kids are going to see some stuff that they can't unsee.
I just don't see Aladdin.
And I'm not talking about Will Smith as the blue genie, although I don't think anybody needs to see that either.
They should have got the guy from the King of Cars. Remember that show, Blue Genie from the King of Cars?
I literally have no idea what you're talking about. The King of Cars?
Yeah, there was a show. It was a show on A&E or some or the History Channel like 5 years ago, maybe 10 years ago.
Wow.
It was
literally never heard of it.
If anybody they had a character called the Blue Genie.
Nate, you ever heard of this show?
No. All right,
you're making this up.
King of Queens?
No, King of Cars.
That's what I thought he meant.
Blue Genie. Get at me.
I want some comments. Has anybody ever heard of this? The A&E or the History Channel?
Yeah, said? I can't remember which one. It was like one of the one or TLC. I don't know. One of those.
Left Eye?
Something like that. All right. I think we got it, right? I think we nailed it. We nailed the horror.
We did our best. You know what?
Yeah,
and that's all that matters.
We tried it. I mean, we covered it all. I mean, I'm left almost. I kind of need
spent.
to. I need to.
Yeah, you need a vacation from your podcast. They always say you need a vacation from your vacation. Which is really true when you have kids.
Yeah.
Even though it's not a vacation when you bring kids along, it's a trip.
Also, I will just do a shout out to coming back one day early, like giving yourself
an extra buffer. We do that every time.
It is. I mean, when I was a kid, I would literally get off the plane. We'd have to go to school. It was the worst thing I can possibly imagine. Having that buffer time is so key.
We said that to Detective Munch. And the Hammer, like we weren't getting home until like 7 at night. We're like, tomorrow is a lazy movie day. We're on the couch. We're watching movies. We're not doing a thing. Because this was a long trip and it was a long drive back. We all need to decompress and get to know each other as a family again under our normal everyday circumstances. And we immediately started fighting.
Happily ever after.
Exactly.
All right. Cool.
All right, guys. We'll catch you next time.
Thanks so much. Talk to you later.